Yay, good evening, everyone. Today is, Thursday, the 22nd of February, 2018.
22.
And, pardon? Oh, it's 22nd. 22nd of the 2nd, 2018. Thanks, Yudit. Yudit from Israel. Patricia from the UK. Levkungfu from the UK. Artist from Germany. And our guest, James from New Zealand. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Good evening.
I did it.
Great. How you doing, James?
Hey, James.
Very good. I'm definitely alive.
And that's for sure.
Yay!
Yeah. No, it's putting, this, I know it's my thing, but actually it's everyone's thing. No, I start to talk about what I know, my knowledge there, and it gives people's anxieties. If they value anxiety highly, they don't like that at all, man. And which I'll qualify in the book, I think. So yeah, it's going amazingly. I haven't got a job, and but I do have a path to keep going on. It's so it's going very well.
Part in telling the truth and exposing the lies. Yeah?
That's right.
For sure.
And it's so I it's something that the real art of communicating this is to put it in a way that people find palatable. Because they're all geared up to respect anxiety, and the people that have influence over society, and there's varying levels of that. They are invariably hardwired to believe that anxiety is virtuous, and so how to get their attention when they are absolutely geared to push back against this. This is the thing. Phrasing it in a way that they can actually, they're not threatened. It doesn't trigger their defenses. It's like, and now I had an experience there the other day that was all about that, and it's a replication. The guy shut me off on the radio. He had this big buffer zone of how to listen to someone talk, but actually go to another caller because there's a 20-second delay. And so that's what he did. And I was trying to talk to him, and he starts talking to someone else. And so they're extremely averse to engage with anything that brings their way of thinking into disrepute. And that is a replication of the function of anxiety. And so they know that I'm here, and I don't know what presence my activities have in their thinking, because if the political correctness of anxiety is instinctively intuited, I don't know what they're thinking, because actually it's unchallengeable. They lose all public credibility if they have to choose between their present way of doing things and acquiescing to the public interest, which is embracing this amnesty. So this is quite a moment, because they'll have to acquiesce. And so that if I was able and do a bit of a speaking tour about this, which I've been doing to a small extent around Christchurch, if they want votes from the people, and the people are aware of this objectivity, it's basically where consciousness has more political credibility than anxiety, and so they have to acquiesce to it, because that's where the votes come from, right? And so I'm bordering on you know, if I could go public with this, like in a major way, that's what would be happening. It would be the biggest thing ever to happen on planet Earth, and it's something that we desperately need. If to have the establishment completely capitulate to the public interest, right? And we know that this is the format of what's going on. They all talk about the news, government, police, hospitals to a certain extent. They all talk about problems all the time. Now, and so does religion, and so that's promoting anxiety as wisdom, okay? And they're doing this all the time. The media, all the time. They're really skilled at it, and every problem they're talking about has its genesis in an anxiety. And so, to break that cycle, because that's a pattern of circular logic, to break that cycle, this is absolutely unknown territory for the human race. And according to this, what we have is our civilization. We think we love it to bits, right? Well, actually, we are you know, to our intended purpose, we have massively much more. And I could say that as the belief that anxiety is virtuous reduces the quantity of communication according to the first and second laws to 10%. You know, what if we, you know, our my point is the civilization that's been developed is according to that 10%. So this is 10% of what we actually, the experience is supposed to be for us. And so what if we could achieve that 100%? And so that's what's at stake here. This is the moment, because the universe knows that there's no more headspace that we can have inside this jurisdiction of anxiety. And so the universe has come along and said, nah, look, we have to change this. And so here's this thing, go forth, tell everyone this thing. And that way we can actually, you know, completely destroy this jurisdiction of anxiety. And so that's what's going on for me. Yeah. I made a video the other day. It could be something to watch. Yeah, everyone I make is amazing, and it's all about the consequences of thought after being aware of this 8 laws. I call it the revelation of the 8 laws. And if I can quickly say, the way that this problem works, the way that the political entity anxiety controls people, which is a complete freak accident on the earth, man. The sentient being has this culture shock experience that brings the values of anxiety into existence, okay? And so this is a total freak accident. It's not some conspiracy theory or something. And so, yeah, to be aware of this, it completely disempowers the anxiety. And it comes to me, I think I've got the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? And I think the meaning of life is to express consciousness. That's the meaning of life, is to express consciousness. And all these people that want to control the whole world, they want to stop that. Because they, you know, this is all going down to this replication of anxiety. So your civilization is developed out in a way which is a replication of the function of anxiety, because courage acknowledges anxiety, and courage is a consciousness thing. And so we've got exactly the limit of the jurisdiction of anxiety, which has governed the development of not only language but civilization. And so now's the time that something can be done about that. And so this is what this is what I'm talking about. Any questions?
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit before. Oh, go on, artist. You want to go?
No, go ahead.
No, you go. You can go.
Well, I think he put it in a very great way that actually it's all about consciousness and awareness. Yeah, that's very, very important because indeed a lot of people are, let's say, unconscious. They are asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure. Yeah, so, but can you
Well,
define your way how you see the conscious mind, maybe?
I see it as when you have an objective, an objective appreciation of the human being and the factors involved. Men, women, they're having all this massive political battle. Men, women, I've got this whole politicized thing going on. This is anxiety trying to retain control of the moral authority over people. Anything to get the people to focus on something that's non-important and virtually non-existent. Because this is going on in New Zealand, right? They're still pushing this thing. But actually looking objectively at the human being, we have consciousness and we all have total proof that consciousness exists. And but seemingly that's not reality. That's outside that subject is outside of what has been deemed reality, right? And so that actually looks like a replication of anxiety, because anxiety just dismisses, doesn't even acknowledge at all anything like that. And so this is the place we're at. And so looking objectively at the human being, we just want to express consciousness, because I've figured it out that we do not think with language. We do not think with words. The process in the mind is not words. We have learnt to use language as an interface. And we have also trained ourselves to conceptualize the process in a way that it fits in the words we've got, And because I've got different flatmates from other countries. I've known lots of people, and the process is all the same. Doesn't matter what language you're talking about. People still feel the same way about their kids, man. They still feel the same way about everything. The philosophy is the same.
Yeah.
So I think this should be the real focus of. This is actually reality. Well, we've got this world, the civilization, where consciousness kind of doesn't exist, when actually consciousness is the only reality there is. And we have all these pretended beliefs and things that we believe in and engage in, and this is actually a massive corruption. Actually, we all have the culture shock experience of birth, and it's anxiety that's politically credible, and it's like in my video, I've got a video there called "God So Loved the World He Put Satan Here," and this is a parody where I make I make a big accusation about anxiety, and I format it in a religious text kind of way, and so yeah, and that it says, I think that says it in a beautiful way, and it was completely off the cuff, man. It was totally spontaneous, and so have to go and watch that. Because it says it really does. It's a parody, right? But it fits exactly how the behavior and political aspirations of anxiety exactly match this political aspiration of religion as well, as in it positions itself in opposition to consciousness, right? And so yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Well, you explained it great. Yeah. in a great way. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
And how
man.
do you see the?
I think what it is with James is he's been talking a lot about this stuff, but the one when he woke up in the morning, that one with this consciousness, he's felt it, haven't you, James? Is that the difference?
It's the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And it's the acknowledgement. When you acknowledge it, then it will take the consciousness realm, right? Here's something I say, right, about consciousness realm and the relationship that you may have. Okay, consciousness can hear who is listening. So the difference between this realm and that realm, right, is that the act of listening is an audible thing to consciousness. You know, it's audible. So the act of, you're nice and quiet, right? You're nice and quiet, and that in the consciousness realm is something that is audible according to the language consciousness uses. When you are listening, that is an audible thing to the consciousness realm. So consciousness realm can hear who is listening, because that is the difference between this physical realm and the consciousness realm. That's the nature of how the communication exists in the consciousness realm. And so that's the phrase I've got for that. Consciousness can hear who is listening, because that act. See, this is the thing about all these millennia of civilization has never been qualified consciousness, man, and its nature and how it communicates and its values, and that is how it goes with that. And so there's not only no language to support, there's not really any language that is fit for purpose to talk about consciousness. And that's twofold. One is there's no language to support it. There's no words to support it. And secondly is people don't, people aren't cognizant of it. And so this is a difficulty as well. And so even though they're all having this almost 100% experience governed by either their frustration, they cannot express consciousness, or it is their consciousness being expressed with music and so forth, or it's consciousness hijacked by anxiety that is expressing itself. And so these are the actual features of what's going on. I mean, I say in my vid there, the last vid, I think, how many songs have been written about people? It's the outcome where they had invested their consciousness, usually in someone, right? And they are singing about the outcome of this thing that they had invested consciousness in, which is invariably a relationship. How many songs are written about that, about the end of a relationship, about the blues, actually we this is the only thing people can actually talk about. And this is the mind-boggling situation, is that while it's this gigantic unknown thing, this thing I've discovered, this message might be a giant surprise to everyone, but actually it's the only thing people have ever known. And this is actually the realms of the relationship that the consciousness realm is having with us. Okay, and so I've spent a long time putting my feet in consciousness's shoes and viewing the world from that perspective. And so here we are at this moment where I have now a qualification to express that. And so, yeah.
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 And also, actually, everything that is alive around you has a consciousness. Also, the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, also James
Animals.
is very articulate with his words. So each word means whatever it means. He's very articulate, especially in messages.
Well, I channel consciousness, and it is consciousness that is articulate.
Yeah.
That is the desire to be articulate, the value of consciousness, and then to express those values. This, as has been said, consciousness has had a role. I think consciousness grew everything, right? Everything, life is an expression of consciousness, and this is just this amazing situation that I'm having, and you're having, that we're alive on this world, this giant spaceship with that giant heater next to us. I'm just gobsmackingly amazing to me.
Yes.
And all of the universe, all of the realms of all possibilities. How much better could consciousness want it than to have this perfect vehicle where not only we can speak and articulate philosophy and opinion, we have hands, man, and we can make things. So we can literally download stuff from the universe and present it to people. And so there you go. That's from my perspective. It's about downloading stuff from the universe. And
You're making it sound like workers, though, James. We're workers. Either way,
no,
we're
not. No, we are alive, and this is what consciousness does. And so this is the great new world. Because I've
talking
got this
about M's on the hands, weren't we? Before we came live, M's on your hands, in the middle of your hands.
The M's, that's right. I've got M's on my hands. I've got capital M's on my hands.
Me too.
And I think that's interesting that was brought up, because it's an interesting thing to think about. All that stuff, that astrology stuff, and those alternative perspectives. That while we have to pretend anxiety, courage doesn't exist, we have all these philosophies that try to articulate the consciousness realm, and there is a lot of that, man. There's so much of it.
Indeed, and when you are conscious of it, it actually you will absorb the consciousness around you better, because you're more conscious of your environment and the things around you. And that's more. And then when you actually start to awake, as I put it, that actually you can feel that everything you're around you can feel it and hear it better as you ever could hear it before.
Yeah.
Because before that you had some type of slumber. You were in a slumber, and when you're awake, actually you can feel that every thing around you is in touch with you, connected to you in some way or form.
Yeah, you can tell.
And the consciousness makes you feel alive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, how do we feel? How do we feel after we discuss such a thing? Because after these other times that I've been talking, I feel amazing. It's been such a joy.
Yeah.
And this thing that I got is that one consciousness plus one consciousness equals three consciousnesses. That's the nature of consciousness. It loves expanding. It loves expression. It loves expansion, man. And so all I can think about, what if there was tens of thousands of people all feeling like this?
Yeah, that would be
and
great.
Well, that's coming. It's coming, man. Consciousness will not be stopped. And
Never.
And so this problem in the US, this is a negative kind of a thought, right? But this problem in the US of these shootings in the schools and that, which everybody in the world's heard about. See, this will keep happening while anxiety appropriates the gun as vocabulary. And because anxiety is a really highly held belief, these people that want to react like that want to choose the strongest language possible. And so that's why the school shootings are happening, right? Because while people believe anxiety is virtuous, was actually political optics of religion, This is what is of value to you. And so the gun is vocabulary. That's why
Is it me or is he breaking up?
probably breaking up.
There's a tiny bit.
Can I just? All right, you just stop for just a second. So you sound all right now, but you were breaking up. But isn't it also though, James? They're always probably getting a couple of what is it? There's a saying. You get a few birds in one, whatever it is, or with stones, whatever it is. It's like if the Americans put their guns down, you see they've got a different constitution, which means that they can rise up and rebel the government of the day. So many of them have guns. They can't bring in any kind of martial law if they've got guns. So they make them put them down, then they're easier to control. That's what I think. That's partly what that about with the schools. They want them. They want the people to put the guns down.
Yeah, well, I think that
I don't want to have a gun anymore.
Yeah, no, that's right. They, you know, having the teachers be armed is a real no-brainer. But you see this thing, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms against tyranny, foreign and domestic. Okay, so virtually they're living in this anxiety bubble where the whole conceptualization of their country is actually a big part of it is to have anxieties about tyranny, right? And so their perception of nationhood. Okay, and so it's not really surprising that America's going around the place pretending it's saving everybody by blowing everything up. You know, so they can't produce an expression that is not a replication of the function of anxiety when their nationhood has been conceptualized by this fear that they need to protect themselves against tyranny, foreign and domestic. Okay, so when they stop believing that anxiety is virtuous, a whole lot of things will change. And I'll show that in New Zealand, right? I'm going to prove that in New Zealand because I'm going to run in the next election here with the discovery of the revelation of the 8 laws message, and the people will react to that because it actually attends to all the problems that people have got, which are all been created out of an anxiety, and so they have to change their ways because I'm just absolutely sickened by the behaviour of these major powers in the world. So yeah, anyway, sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, now while we've got to change that, got to give courage. We've got to make courage the dominant political ideology somehow. That's what I feel would be really good.
Yeah. It's great that you actually will run and will try to wake more people up because I hope you get some airtime. So therefore you can wake a lot of people up and point them in the right direction. Yeah. Well,
I have, man. I mean, I've seen on YouTube here, I don't know how many subscribers I've got now, but there's people that have reacted. They're totally gobsmacked on how actually obvious it is. And that singular thing to just be objective about what is actual reality, as we all know, and everyone knows, that we actually are all functioning according to this desire to express consciousness, and so this is why they don't understand depression. Because if you get little kids that are really having a good time learning, they might have a really good day at school, and they come to people that don't care. This is like really disgusting, man, because the kids trying to channel consciousness, how they feel, you know. And that actually happened to me as a kid. And so, as per the reaction of people, it's been 100% positive. I know that if I can go to a town hall meeting type situation, and this is only going to get better. This is only going to get better. And as I say, see, this is proof of the religion calls it God, but it's not God. It's consciousness realm. And that's a disgusting thing, because saying God, it makes it into a singular thing. And God is not a singular thing. God is everything, including all of our consciousness being. We're just downloaded. We're downloaded here from here, because God is everywhere, right? And so so how it has had the impact it's had with people I've talked to, this can't be stopped, because anxiety cannot challenge this. They cannot challenge this at all. And the ace up my sleeve of this is that everybody knows that consciousness is real, and everyone knows that everyone knows that anxiety is an alien presence in the realm of consciousness. It's alien. And so that's what I'm banking on, yeah. And so the world needs they can't have this financial thing, because as England knows full well, the way the financial system works is they're right and the public are wrong. And it's the welfare of the wealthy that is the most important thing. And the public can really turn to cannibalism and they won't even care. In fact, wealthy people believe, I'm not being wealthy, so I don't know this, but I'm thinking that at their core, they believe that social problems are an indication of how well they're doing. That is the measurement, and so they know. See, all these people that have channeled anxieties become the leaders of society. They all have consciousness as well, and so that's the game on, man. It's the game on. They have to acquiesce to this. They have to, because the consciousness knows it's true. And with all their talk and hot air about being concerned about social problems, along comes this big silver bullet, right? And so they have to capitulate. And so this is a very remarkable political event that is going to occur, because as it happens in New Zealand, it can happen anywhere. And because every human being is consciousness. We are all consciousness. We all love love. We all worry about our loved ones. We all, this is the true thing of it. And it's my thing.
Did we just lose James then?
I don't hope so.
James?
He was breaking up a bit, and then
It's because it's too awesome.
Oh, you stopped.
oh, okay, okay, that's good. Oh,
Sorry. Yep.
It is awesome, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that well, sometimes when I talk to people, and probably James also had that happen to him. Some people often are wandering around. They don't know exactly how everything works with anxiety and also with consciousness. And when you explain them, probably this is also the case for James, they get very excited. And then I had some people actually thank me for waking them up. They said, oh, now I understand why I had certain thoughts. Now I understand why I was sometimes a little bit saddened about some situations that were happening in the world. But now I understand why and how. So that has probably also happened to you, that people thank you for waking them up.
You got to remember as well that everyone, it's like the Matrix movie, right? Everyone is hardwired to use anxiety, the belief in anxiety, as a way of protecting themselves. Okay, and this is why it's such a corruptive influence. The values we use, with the values we have that serve to protect ourselves, when we transpose those values into other situations, it's actually causing massive damage. And so while you're telling them that, artists, they are actually, they want to know. Yes, they want to know, but it's like asking them to do a big U-turn at high when they're traveling at high speed, because they're using those very things as a means to protect themselves. And so to go on that shift from using to relying on these things to protect themselves to knowing that they're actually causing all of their problems, that's the thing. And so when you're telling them stuff, that's the event going on in their mind, and you're triggering their consciousness, and then they're confronted with this reality that they think they need these things to actually protect themselves, you know. And so that's the whole nature of the this is why I was saying, like, you've got to put things in a palatable way. And so that's the event in the mind when you're telling them that you're talking about there. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Indeed, that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm also glad that you can actually feel, in my view, you can feel that more people are waking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
The people
I
start.
think that's
Yeah.
I think that's the purpose of this message that's come to me, is we need to figure out how we can organize ourselves and our future, for our future. It's a way of living that we can transcend this way of doing things and go on to, you know, because there's literally so much more people around. I think that's what consciousness realm's mindful of. There's so many more people around now than there used to be. We need a different system to live alongside, right? And so it's a means that we can have peace while there's actually so many more people around now. And New Zealand does not have any of the problem with immigration that Europe has. It's how we can live in peace while there's lots more of us. And I think the determination is that we have to actually put anxiety under house arrest, because the way it governs outcomes, this is not acceptable now. It's not acceptable. And so that's the little philosophy there I have of my experience of this message I've got.
Yeah, you were talking about, I mean, we were talking about it before we came on air, but I do believe that a lot of us that are still sensitive as you've got older, this is when you haven't lost it from when you were a child.
No, that's it. That's true. Yep. You've retained it. You've held on to it because you know it's the truth. That's what I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. It,
What?
And also, it's a bit like the ether is a telephone wire, email you put it as.
Yeah, there you go. So if we were sensitive to that, and we knew others were sensitive to that, we could live so differently than we are now, man.
Oh, way
You
different.
just,
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy moly, man.
Yeah, more in harmony and more in touch with nature.
Cool. Yeah. You know, more in keeping with our true nature.
Yeah, more in touch with each other.
It's true. It's right. That's right. So,
and also more in harmony with everything around you. Because nowadays, with all those electrical devices, that people actually are staring down at their electrical devices and not looking up anymore, and not looking people as much in the eye as they did a while back. And I think there's
I don't know about that.
change going on a little bit. That people actually want to. I heard around me that some older people also want to try to live more natural and more in touch with nature again, because basically they are missing the touch of nature and the touch of and the contact with people. And
Yeah. And so I say in one of my vids, you go from the farm life, right, living on the farm, you know, as you're from farming, right, like I was, and there's virtually no anxieties because nature is totally honest. The weather is completely honest. There's no politics with the weather at all, and you have to accept that. And so there's hardly any anxieties out on the farm. There is anxieties on the farm of what the banking system causes, because the banking system threatens them that there's a measure of
James?
Yeah, he broke up a little bit. You broke up at the end of your sentence a bit, James. From on my end.
no, I'll speak slow. The closer you are to the centre of the urban experience, the more politically credible anxiety is, because people are actually doing less with their lives. And so these people at the centre of the urban experience, which is the politicians and the media, they seem to be the kings of promoting anxiety as virtuous. And so while you're saying there about electronic devices, I think one thing that I think is most prevalent in this experience is it's actually allowing people to show their true colours more. Now, I think that in itself is allowing people to build some kind of qualification that they're dissatisfied with this kind of the way civilization is developing. And but I think, as we've said there, if we're actually all consciousness sensitive, this could go a whole different direction than it has ever gone, because it's only really, this is the thing, it's only because of the political presence in the mind of anxiety that we perceive we need a king. You know, we perceive there's a God. That's the only way that we can conceptualize these concepts in the mind, is something that replicates anxiety, because it's hijacked consciousness. It's only things that anxiety sees as fit for purpose that are what they deem as reality, right? And so we can live massively differently if we actually just acknowledge consciousness and the world stops believing in anxiety as virtuous.
There are some people that don't want to act like that, though, aren't there? Like, not everybody's wanting to better themselves and strive.
You know, I know, but they are really reliant on anxiety as a means to conceptualize reality. And I'm saying there is an alternative now that they don't know about. Okay? So when they become aware of the qualification, they will have a choice. They can have a choice, because nobody has a choice in it, literally.
Yeah.
And so that's the important thing.
So everybody's influenced by the TV, the food they eat, and their education and stuff. So it's not exactly their fault that they're selfish.
No, that's right.
Or whatever it is.
Right.
So
That's,
for most people.
that's why this message I've got is actually an amnesty. It's a grand amnesty, because nobody is at fault having been in consciousness and then suffering the culture shock experience of birth. Nobody, see, at that point, we don't know what's good, we don't know anything. And so the whole world's been tricked into going down this path. that anxiety is wisdom, and the difference now is there's a qualification of the alternative, and it actually makes consciousness real, not an urban myth, not something that religion has murdered so many people for. It's a real thing, and this is the thing of it. I have a lot of confidence in this, you know. The future.
Yeah, and well, we all get our phones, and I think the television is the worst one for actually stopping people talking, because everybody's just watching the screen all the time. They're not talking to each other, are they?
That's true. That's true.
It's generally the only thing they talk about as well. What they've seen on TV and stuff, kind of thing.
That's true. That's a good point. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we need to talk more to each other anyway, but I can't help being sensitive. How many people in the chat room feel like that they're quite sensitive people? And yeah, in the chat room.
Yeah. I am.
I am. Artis is. Patricia is. Yudit is. Lev is. Santos is. Matt Jerome is. There's loads of people we feel on the Hangouts. We've got a bond with Aaron. We've got a bond with Thrive and Survive, Mr. Thrive and Survive.
Yes.
Gathica, very overly sensitive. Las Vegan, me too. Fraser, I am very sensitive. Artist, I am. Road FM, amazing, cannot describe it. There you go, James. There's more.
There's more. That's good.
Lisa, I'm very sensitive. Aaron Bron, whatever the hell you say his name, sorry. Yes, agree. Okay, just we hear a few more people come in. Tommy says cell phone, so yeah, cell phones probably ruin that. Yep, he is. Yeah, I think that, yeah. Gordon says brilliant people. Goran, sorry, not Goran.
Goran, why Goran?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Hang on, I'm going to turn you up. You're not very loud. Hang on.
Okay. Well, actually, on the radio, and also a friend of my father, an eye doctor, is really concerned about those mobile phones because children, teenagers already have certain eye damage from looking into that phone at a close distance, that light in their eyes. Back in the day, you were always told to sit out of arm reach, that your monitor, your screen should be out of arm reach, because otherwise you get too much light that is hurting and shining on your eyes. And so therefore, a lot of children have now already eye damages that are beyond repair. And so, yeah, it's also some technologies harming the children, their eyes, and also their neck, and then the whole way they walk. So, yeah, there must be a common change that people actually use the technology in such a way that it is not harming them anymore.
Yeah, we've talked about that sometimes before. Yeah. You've mentioned that quite a few times. One second.
Because we were talking about cell phones, let's put it in there, because
yeah,
it's a problem, and it's going to be a very large problem if there isn't a change, so people actually wake up and make the change with their conscious mind.
Yeah, have a chat with someone instead. Yudit, you wanted to say something? Yudit wants to add something?
Yes. Yes, Karen. One of the big enemy of the consciousness it's the noises, the noise, the noises. It's very difficult to connect to yourself, to your consciousness when it's too loud outside, it's too noisy. Is the sound outside, it's like this, that it's very difficult to connect this consciousness. And especially it starts with the children, of course. They destroy this connection. And when they do this, these children lose the connection with the parents, because every parents know what is it, this contact with this consciousness, because this consciousness bring the contact with the children. You feel the parents feel his children through this consciousness, and the same with the children. But when too much noises and too much sound like this, so we lost this connection, this telepathic, this connection between us and our children. Yes, James?
Yeah, and then those children have children. And so, yeah, if I can say something that I've known for quite a long time, the experience I've had, and this is about like what you say about noises. For me, I have to be, according to my relationship with the consciousness realm, right, I have to be incredibly sensitive to not react at the quantum level of thought, right? To not react for consciousness to actually control the thought of what of that situation. You have to be incredibly sensitive to not react, because consciousness is so respectful, so courteous, that it will back off as soon as you metaphorically lift a finger to attend to what is going on. It will back off. And so you have to be incredibly sensitive to not
Is it happening again? James, just stop for a moment. James, we just lost you for a moment then. So you just have to say the last sentence again, because we lost you.
Okay. Yeah, you have to be very, very sensitive to not reacting. Otherwise consciousness will back off, because it's the epitome of respect and courtesy. And so these noises that happen, they have our mind on the shallow view of life, and so it doesn't get a word in, because you're on the shallow view all the time. And this is invariably the mind react to what is going on around it. But the relationship with consciousness means you have to ignore all that and put your life in order that it is according to consciousness. And so that's been my path, where the result is I have a very peaceful life, and I don't have anxieties about anything. Like having no money, right? That does not give me anxieties. There is only what to do about that. And so yeah, the noise thing Yudit talks about, that is the TV. And as you're saying about kids, electronic devices and TV affect the perception of relationships.
Yep.
And that's the thing. That's the more dangerous thing, artists, than the physical consequences. The influence is that there is no relationships. You know, because while everyone's on their phones around the kitchen table, which they have noted quite a lot in New Zealand, right? There's no relationship there when that's happening. And so
Indeed.
that's the more serious thing.
I know back in the day when the children came home from school and the parents came home from work, they sit down at the dinner table and discuss their day, how it was going, or if there was any problem, it was solved. We're talking and communicating.
Yep.
And we have to get back to that we actually...
I've got one you'll like. Consciousness has no religion, no belief, no ideology, no gender, no sexuality, no race, no age, and no nationality. We are consciousness.
That's right.
Yeah, that's for sure. But what indeed...
it's the reality of living in this physical realm that has done this. And so that's the same. That's the thing, being objective about that. You know, I just made a thought there about... everyone's watching electronic devices and all that, because they're actually not able to communicate what is happening in their lives, and they only tell the big things. They're actually keeping a lot of secrets, effectively. You know, there's a great swathe of their lives that they're not talking about. So that's just something that just came to mind.
Yeah, it comes to my mind also sometimes. That indeed a lot of things are blocked into the communicating by some electrical devices. Sometimes also when somebody was watching TV, you could see that some people, when they watch TV, they are so sucked into the TV. If you say something to them, they will not acknowledge you.
Yeah,
they don't hear you anymore. My grandfather had that when he was watching television. He could say something, and he didn't respond. And I also see other people sometimes watching television, and they are so only sucked up by the television in some way, form, in the vibration of the television that is actually keeping them in that realm, that they don't acknowledge everything around them anymore. And that's things that I still see with the same with the cell phones. They don't see their surroundings with the other devices that, and that's why sometimes I go out without any device, without any cell phones. Be free of your cell phones and go for a walk without any cell phones or technology attached to you, so you can actually feel everything surrounding you again and have a higher level of consciousness, because you it's not disrupted indeed by all kinds of distortion and waves and interruptions.
I think this is why motorcycles rock.
No.
Did you get that?
Yeah, motorcycles rock, you said?
You just described
what
it is like riding a motorcycle.
Yeah, or a bike. Even.
Yep.
Yeah. It's being free and going in the directions you want. And that's what I sometimes also do. I walk outside without any direction. I don't know where I'm going. Just a walk, and let's see where nature takes you. People always go from A to B to C direction. And what I do, I just walk and I don't think about which way I'm going. I just see where I'm going. Sometimes I end up in places that I never went before. And that's a new experience and a new vibration and a new, sometimes, communication.
Is this why people like going for cruises in their car?
Probably, yeah.
I think, because I do that as well. I like that. There's no plan. There was only petrol money, car. No.
Yeah. And indeed, like you mentioned, your motorcycle. People like to indeed cruise on their motorcycle and see in what direction they go, and just be in touch with your surroundings, and just sometimes you have a thought, well, I just feel, oh, that looks interesting, let's go that way. And not because you decided in forehand to go that way. No, at that moment you feel, hey, that's interesting, I should go that way, or take that turn, or yeah, and that's the more natural flow you have.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a saying in from motorcycling, the journey is the destination.
Yeah.
And I think this is
That's great.
This is consciousness. This is consciousness. The journey.
Did he break up again? Or?
No.
Yeah. Oh no, he's there.
Yeah, I think
I'm there.
yeah, you broke up a little bit, so I couldn't catch all of it on mine end.
Oh, well, no, just saying the journey is the destination. This actually sums up really how the world has to change.
Yeah, indeed.
They think getting rich is the destination. They think political power is the destination. And we're saying the journey is the destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it, James. Great way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this book I've got called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus up there, it's a bit like, I'm not just saying it's for women, but they put it as the differences between men and women. Often a man wants to actually get to the destination, so it doesn't matter what happens in between because the destination is much more important. But for a woman, it's the journey. So the man will go like, this is just generally because there's sensitive people here, so, you know, we live and we learn about people, but we'll just say some people, they go, oh, I was late to work, that's it. But other people, it's the journey. Oh, so I saw the lovely trees, there was these dogs, and it just goes on. So some people prefer the journey, and a lot of people like just the destination, and they miss the journey, and then they usually lose everything along the way.
Well, you can't take it with you when you die. So I don't know, you know, this is a red flag to me. Why these really wealthy people spend all their time trying to find more wealth when they're not, you know, they might as well be in a little room with an Xbox, literally, because they're not actually enjoying their wealth. They're enjoying the competition of obtaining more, and so they're trying to express consciousness, right? But in that format, they're influencing the whole of society. But as per the experience they actually have, they might as well be in a little room with an Xbox game in a simulation, because they're basically turning their lives into a simulation of the expression of consciousness, and they're just not living. They're squandering their time here. They shouldn't be doing it.
That's about right. I agree with you there, James.
And now we've got this mountain of plastic floating around in the ocean, and none of them are reacting about it. These wealthy people that are the most able people in the world at getting things done are doing nothing about this, right? And that's got to change, man. It's got to change. And so that's why this messages are amnesty, because it enables them to come back to us. Okay, come back to us, that you know, that we value the experience.
You stop. You're just breaking up a little bit there, James.
Now, to bring those people back to what is called the silent majority, that is the trick, man. That is the trick. Because those guys, the rich, wealthy people, they could clean the oceans up in only a couple of years. They could do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
What's easier than picking up rubbish? It's like easy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the red flag. What values do they have that are preventing them from being, you know, from being able to think about that? And that's why it boiled down to that. It's actually believing in anxiety as virtuous, which is why that's that whole political construct. Because all we can see is the condition of our environment.
Yeah.
That's what we've been talking about. It's about the condition of our relationships with ourselves, with Earth, you know. And these people that are most able to affect a positive influence over these things we value are completely ignoring it, right? And so to have them come back to us is the thing.
Yeah. And also the fact that they can and they should make products more durable. But therefore, you also have a lot of less waste because it's made to consume most of the products and not
Right.
to last as long as possible.
Yep. So that's a lot of
Can I just say
civilization.
that Trouble About has joined us on the Hangout as well. Hello, Trouble.
Hey,
Oh, hey, hello, Trouble.
trouble.
I'm not sure we can't hear you. Oh, she's just looking at her microphone. She's muted herself. Anyway, she's from Australia. She's
Can you hear me
laughing now. Yay.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Hello, my darling. Anyway, Trouble's from Australia.
Morning.
Someone down in your...
Speak.
Steve, but sorry I'm a bit late.
Oh,
Good to see you.
yeah, good to see you indeed.
Yeah, good to hear you though.
Yeah,
It is.
welcome to the panel. If you
Thank
have
you.
any questions for James or other people, just ask them.
Yep.
Is this one of the first times you've been on a live Hangout, Trouble?
Yeah, I did one with Jamie. It took me a while to mute myself because I was, but I've got the swing of it. But yes, this is only the second time.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat room will recognise Trouble.
Yeah. Hey, Astral also joined. Hello, Astral.
Good morning.
Morning, evening, hello.
Evening.
Hi, Astral.
G'day.
Astral is an Englishman living in Denmark. You know everybody on here, don't you, Astral? Just to go through, there's Yudit from Israel, there's Trouble About from Australia, obviously you're from Denmark, Patricia UK, Levkungfu UK, we've got James from New Zealand and Artist from Germany. So it's quite a full hangout now.
Spread across the plain,
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
far and wide.
Hey, good, eh?
We are. New Zealand.
It's good we're
Australia.
together.
Sorry?
It's good we're all together here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've not heard anything. When did you start? I was busy listening to something else.
About an hour ago.
An hour?
Yeah.
Seriously? Okay. Sorry, guys. I'll have to catch up tomorrow.
Better late than never. Eh?
Yeah.
Could I
Someone
just say one thing? I'm not sure if it's trouble, but there's just a bit of sort of noise going around the hangout. So somebody needs to mute when they're not talking. It was trouble. It's just the way it goes sometimes. It's just the way it goes.
But she had a nice breeze going on.
Yeah.
Silent in my house. Oh, maybe the ceiling fan. Can you hear the ceiling fan?
Oh, that might be what it is.
It's too hot not to have it on. Or I'll turn it off.
Yeah, make us jealous. Some people today were saying that we're going to have this cold wind from Siberia for the next so many days.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they said that a couple of days it was -5 degrees over here in Germany.
Yeah, it's been
Whoa.
cold.
So I have to get my snow hat and my snow boots again from the attic because it's turning cold again.
Yeah,
I
so the
think
weekend's going to be bad, and then next week it's going to be worse. Great. Can't wait. It was just, the air was just beginning to get spring-like as well. Oh, dearie me.
There's one good thing. We have this summer, we have the spring to look forward to.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we get a summer, if we get a spring and then if we get a summer, all these bloody chemtrails that's going on, who knows? You know?
Yeah, someone said something very interesting. Sorry, James, just very quickly. They were saying it was on somebody else's post. I've been putting it on the Sun and Moon group, the Facebook group. I can't remember what his whole name is, so it's pointless me saying it. But he's noticing that when they're chemtrailing so much, it actually lowers the temperature. They're lowering the temperature, nothing to do with global warming and we're going into an ice age. The chemtrails lower the temperature in the sky. Because there's a fog up, isn't it? And the sun's got to get through that. And then we've got clouds as well. So the chemtrails are all about lowering the temperature. Da-da. Oh, my God. Anyway, just thought I'd add that. Very, very nice piece of information. Not.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been talking about consciousness tonight. Consciousness.
Yay.
Well, maybe I could ask, what does it mean to you, Trouble, consciousness then, this whole thing about being in this consciousness that we're hoping that other people see and understand? And
Yeah, I've been trying to work that out myself. Because I had the strokes, I was thinking about it last night. I spent a while in, so I had no little voice inside my head. And it was so friggin' peaceful and quiet and calming. And so I think we have a state of nothingness. And I think that's the peaceful calm that they talk about as heaven and things like that. And I simply think it's a place where you don't think, you don't hear, you don't see, you don't hear. There's no information whatsoever. And that's some of my sight. And I try to, my central vision's shattered from the strokes. But I have these patches of nothingness. And there's literally nothing there. There's no light, there's no dark, there's nothing. Like the information's just missing. And there's not a hole, there's just nothing. I can't explain it. And so, yeah, I think maybe after we die, or the real peacefulness is just that you don't think anymore, which sounds really bad, but it's actually really quite nice. But you can't live in a physical body when you can't think, because you have to feed yourself, and you can't remember anything. So I think, like, everybody wants everyone to stop thinking and just meditate and all that kind of. Whereas I think being able to think is a blessing.
oh,
I don't think people realise how lucky we are to be able to think and process information and do so much with the information. I think it's all about information. Because we're antennas and we send and receive information.
yeah, I agree with you there. Can I just say another thing? You're looking very beautiful, Trouble.
Am I? I just got out of bed. I thought I was looking shit.
Yeah, you look nice.
And then I saw the picture. I thought, oh, I'm only like 2 centimeters big. I might not look too bad.
You're not now. You're not now. You're the main picture right now on the Hangout.
Oh,
Yeah.
oops. Oh well, they went that plan.
Okay, I'll ask Astral, what's your whole thing on this then? The same? Consciousness. Astral! Where's he gone? There he is. But we can't hear him. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, so I'm trying to work out, is consciousness mass consciousness? Which is probably why the world's so shit, because they've taken so much information off us. Or is it this, like, God consciousness that lives somewhere? I don't quite know.
Huh.
What do you think consciousness is?
Well, you
Yeah.
definitely feel it and think it here. So I'm here at the moment, so I have to go on what's here. And to me, it's about, I feel things through the Ethernet. I'm not saying I do it all the time, but I know it's there. And for me, it was always like this consciousness knows what's right and wrong. Known it like when you're born, you know it. You know these things, and unfortunately, it's taken away from you in globes and stuff like that. So I think it's a spiritual thing as well. So it's all things. What about you, Astral? Astral, we can't hear you.
Headphones out. Back in a second.
That's it. We can hear you now. No, don't mute. Astral, you're muted now.
Now, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
I think consciousness is something that connects us all in a sense, and I don't think we're all conscious at the moment. I don't think we're all aware of what consciousness is. It's not actually happened yet, if you understand what I mean. I think it's some sort of it's a connection between people, between like plants and trees and everything. We're all connected, interconnected, and I think that is a consciousness, a kind of everything together, Does it make sense? Or does it sound like a pile of shite?
No, it's good.
No, it makes sense because I feel it in the same way.
I don't think it's just something in your head or above your head or in your guts or. I think there's much more to it than that, and maybe even on a sense that it could be some sort of vibration or, a thing like that, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's thought patterns.
Oh, hang on, I turned you down a little bit, Trouble, because there's a background noise. Hang on, I'm turning you up now. What did you say?
I can't remember what I was going to say, but I think there is some like they say about quantum, there's this background connection, and if you look for it, you'll see it. So like a couple of months ago, I went to go to a function, and I got hopelessly lost, and I was an hour late, and I was at the wrong place, and yet one of the other people did the same thing, and as I'm walking out of the wrong place, they're walking into it, and so I managed to get a lift with them, and it's just little connections like that. Also, there's so much of this, I don't know what to call it. I call it kind of quantum connections. I don't know, consciousness. But I think if you get on the thought patterns, like if you think about people, all of a sudden they'll start ringing you. So I think our thoughts control a lot more than we're told.
Thanks for that, Trouble. What about you? Who's going to talk there? Sorry. Yudit, what do you think then?
When Buddha said be, So it means that you connect that this moment. You connect this moment right now without thinking, without give any attention to nothing, and you stay in the position to in position that you be, you exist, without thinking, without give any attention to something specific, and you connect with right now without thinking, without just watch and feel and see the right now, feel the right now. So this is for me consciousness to be, be, and you become from I am, we are. So yeah, I think
Thank-
I explain myself. Yeah.
Thanks, Yudit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend last night, and he has past. When he was younger, he used to have dreams, and it was about his future. And a lot of the times, the stuff would happen. He would say to me, "How can that be? How can I have dreams of another time, and then that actual time when I've not lived it?" And then I saw this doco about the trees and how they're all connected, and it was so they had all these people running through the forest, blindfolded and arms tied behind their back, and that was you in your lifetime. And every time you hit an obstacle or you didn't make it down that pathway, that person dropped off, and the rest of the people kept running. And at the end of it, there's only one person left that makes it to the other side. And then the quantum thing goes back in time, and that's the life that you live. But you still have all these memories of these other paths that you could have taken, but you got to a dead end, so you stopped, and that one ceased to exist. So I'm just wondering if that's what's going on, if we're that complicated, that well made, something like that exists.
Yeah. Very interesting there. We'll come back to that bit because I want James can answer that bit in a minute. But just ask Lev, what's your bit about consciousness? Lev.
Yeah, like what Trouble About was saying, like the other side, you haven't got a brain to think and stuff like that kind of thing. These are also the aspects that you've got your spirit, haven't you? Like if someone's got Alzheimer's, they haven't got the brain to think anymore, but they've still got the spirit. They've still got their attitudes and how they kind of express themselves, even though it's limited and stuff. And then you've got other, like stuff like Bruce Lee. The spirit of Bruce Lee is not really matched by anyone else because that's only his spirit. It's like his astral spirit is only astral spirit, and the same for everybody else. But again, like James was saying, everything that he was saying about consciousness is right. And astral, like what he says about being connected with everything and stuff. And I kind of think like the chemtrails and the food and your education, your TV, everything is designed to keep you disconnected with things, so you're not in touch with your spiritual side and stuff like that. They ridicule the spirituality as well, don't they? If you believe in ghosts or anything, if you like to use crystals, or you've been for a tarot reading, but don't it's like, oh no, what I mean, it'll play on your ego for doing such things and stuff. But again, it's about your own spiritual development. We're here as humans, aren't we? So we're experiencing life as a human, and it's also about, I don't know, figuring out why we're here, and to better ourselves at the same time and stuff. There's a lot for it, a lot to push forward for and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yay, thank you, Lev. Patricia, are you there? Just checking if Patricia's there. Patricia, Flat Earth calling. Patricia. Sometimes she does fall asleep. Is she there? Patricia. Well, what about artists then? Then I'll come to you, Jane. Oh, who's speaking? Yudit.
I call her Patricia.
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 Go on then. I think she may have dropped off to sleep there. She will watch it tomorrow too. She might be back in a bit as well. Artist, go on then before James answers, because I think he should answer Trouble's bit, because that was a good bit, because we were kind of talking about that bit before we came on air. Trouble. Go on, Artist.
Well, consciousness for me is being aware of your surroundings, being in touch with nature through your awareness of your surroundings, and also feeling everything around you, because you are aware of your surroundings, and therefore you pick up the frequencies of your surroundings, and therefore you can be better in tune with your surroundings and feel more at ease in your surroundings, because you are aware of your surroundings. That's how I see it.
And I think we're here to learn and experience.
Oh, sure. A lot of people have to learn to be more aware. And if you are aware, therefore, in my opinion, you are more aware of your surroundings and more in tune with your surroundings, because you accept your surroundings as they are, because you are in tune with the frequency around you.
And I think we're all imperfect and we're meant to be. I think if you made the perfect human being, we'd all be clones and it would be boring as hell. And so we all have, we call them faults, but in a diamond, a fault is a good thing. So it just means that you've got some edges cut off you and you just see through different perceptions. And so I think we create in ways that like a computer wouldn't. It would do things perfectly, and so there wouldn't be any mistake. But we make mistakes or we have errors, like mine with my sight, and because of that I get to see more of a different side of what it would like to be human. And so I think it's all about that, and I don't know why we're doing it, but we seem to be just experiencing and collecting that information. And maybe the computer, or the thought realm, can think heaps of things, but they don't know because they haven't experienced it. So I think we're here to experience. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. James.
Hey. Interesting question, man.
I like Troubles, but we were talking about this just before we came on.
Trouble's a bit objective. This is cool. From my experience, though, it's not something that I perceive as a separate thing to myself. I mean, it started out in understanding, to come to this view I have now. A very, very long time ago, I had a series of dreams when I was like 5 years old, right? And one of them was that I was on this a pier going out into a lake with this island on it, right? And it had a pink tinge to it. Okay, that was one of these dreams. But I see it's a significant thing that, I don't perceive consciousness as a separate thing to myself. And Trouble's exactly right. I think the meaning of life is to express consciousness, and I think if I can actually table a grand conspiracy theory here, I think consciousness created life as an expression of consciousness because it wants it wants to put itself in a different format where the physical realm very different to the consciousness realm, and it wants to create this format so it can express itself. And so this how it's been described there, that we have this, we just got this burning desire to learn and know more and engage with our environment. And so this is what can be if we can manifest consciousness in this realm, what can be under those circumstances. And this is possibly why the consciousness realm expressed life into existence. And it's as the Australian Aborigines put it, their creation story is that the dream dreamed us. And so it's rather remarkable that this profound experience we're having with consciousness has been completely concealed from us. And now I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed that we can have this talk, right? And so yeah, consciousness is us. It is us. And I mean, as someone said before, if we're all the same, it would be boring. Well, I disagree, because if you're channeling consciousness, you don't see color, you don't see the person, you don't see anything. You just in that moment of that experience. And everyone has experienced this, man. We go to a party, this moment where we're all on one, we're all backing one sports team or something, and so we know that consciousness is completely ignorant to the physical, actually, and this is this interface we have of this physical realm, and so this is the purpose of life. The meaning of life is to express consciousness. And
But can I just ask?
Yeah.
You don't think that if consciousness appeared and everybody looked like you and had all the features of you don't think that would be boring? I think that's why it's made us all different.
Well, as far as how people procreate, I think that the parents, right, have their own consciousnesses, and 1 + 1 = 3 to consciousness. And so that's the culmination of the two consciousnesses is represented in the child. And so, but from a certain perspective, so how we perpetuate ourselves as a species, we have this desire to express consciousness, and we're in the situation that we're in. And so, I mean, this is why we love, I mean, I can only talk about it in terms of my experience, where consciousness is not a separate thing to myself. And so describing it as a different thing from the perspective of, a separate perspective. I can only, so my way of describing consciousness is that 1 + 1 = 3, and that's why you like seeing your friends and things. And it has this burning desire to know more. It loves finding solutions. It has a high level of focus, and it's interested in harmony and beauty, and we know that we can get into situations socially where everything's going amazingly and we're having a roaring great time, and so, and it's like this the panel here, it's like this is a truly wonderful thing, and so that's my thing. I can only describe it. I can't describe it as a separate thing. I can only describe it as an experience, because that's what consciousness is to me. It's the experience of being alive. The experience. How, a question came to mind a long time ago for me. How do we know what color is? How do we know what color is? And that's a question mark according to what is this process that exists in us that we may know what color is. And so this is it's like another kind of a way I put it is I might be like this external hard drive plugged into a computer, right? And so, and alternatively, it's like I'm the external hard drive plugged into the computer of the universe. And this is going on at the same time all the time. And so and that's just the thing, it's going on all of the time. And so as a phrase I came up with is it's not that there's an elephant in the living room, it's that we are living inside the elephant. And that's the difference between perceiving consciousness as a separate thing to perceiving it as something that you're not separate from. You can't be separated from it, right? And so, and in writing, like I've got this discovery I've made, and that my videos are about qualifying this in a book. This is exceedingly difficult. There's so much writing on this because there's been things that have now been found to be true that weren't before known, and it is enabling an explanation and a qualification. And so it's a rather kind of exciting time for me. But, you know, what is consciousness? I mean, I had this series of dreams when I was a little kid, and I believe that most people have had these experiences that come to them that they don't know. They have to pretend that they haven't happened or something, that they have to pretend that it doesn't exist because it doesn't fit into this reality that we've been taught. And so I think that's bring experiences out of the woodwork. And so then we can actually, then consciousness becomes real. And
can I reply to that follow-up question?
Yes.
I think this is where I get a little bit confused. I think there is a greater creator than us because we're all decoding the same information. And that's why we know what colours are. I don't think we decide what colours are. I think that's the coding of the information. But sometimes people don't quite see it that way. They, colour blind, and so they're decoding the information differently. So I think there's this base way we're all meant to. That's the, you perfect sight, perfect hearing. You'd see all the right colours. You'd see all the right hearing. You'd hear all the right stuff. But I think that I call them, where these slight faults or slight differences that just allow a slight twist in it, and that's where the create source gets new information from, because it's just a slight twist on the pattern. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at well, I say that life is an expression of consciousness, and our purpose is to express consciousness, and so how has consciousness brought us about so we can be as we are, we can hear and we can see. The engineering involved in the ears and the eyes this is mind-bogglingly high-tech engineering, man. And so that's an indication of the consciousness realm, how the cognition of consciousness, right? How it approaches things and how it perceives a solution can exist. But the thing about colours there, it's that this is, to me, this is like the start point of a rabbit hole, as it were, to understand the actual nature of this process that is going on for us, which is consciousness. And it's how do we know what colour is? Like,
it's like an oxymoron. Like it uses opposites to create, so it's hard to understand it. You use opposites to make something.
This is right. That's right. Good point. It's hard to see the cognition role to where two separate different things go together to make this new thing. This is actually the format of consciousness, and this is this is its productive. This is its, you know, the way it produces a result, man. It's like, and so, and it's an observation of mine I've had on this trip I've had.
So you can say
and-
consciousness knows everything, but it's still learning. Which
Well, this is right.
doesn't make
Yep.
sense. That's what's happening.
Well, that's an interesting statement. Because you're right. It's at all points of the universe at the same time, and it's, you know what, it doesn't care that you know, it doesn't. It's not interested in a final understanding of things, because the journey is the destination, and because time doesn't exist in the consciousness realm, and that means there's no finite point in the perspective. It just doesn't exist. It's only, it exists. It is, and so should we. We should follow that, I think, in the way we live. And instead of all these, I mentioned this in the video that I just made, actually. There's all these finite perspective of things, like, you know, how to get rich. Well, we've got death as a finite perspective. But just on there, I think we go straight into the next baby, actually, just quietly. And but it's conceptualized that it's finite. It's got like the power thing is finite, the money thing is finite, but consciousness is infinite, right? It's infinite, and so yeah, I think we need to embrace consciousness as real, and it's not separate to us. It's not separate. It is us. And we get consciousness emails because we are connected. And so these are the things that hopefully one day soon will be common knowledge.
The only problem is something's gone wrong, because there
Yes.
are too many people living too many horrific lives.
That's right.
So
Yep.
something's gone wrong, because I don't believe it would bring us back to have so many people to have such horrible experiences, because that's going to harm their souls. If we do have souls, I can't even work out if we have souls.
Well, no, look, we have consciousness.
Yeah.
I say this is that the culture shock event of birth, and you'd have to watch my vids and, you know, get the background on what I'm talking about. But we have the culture shock event of birth, which brings the values of anxiety into existence, and it's been separated from consciousness by believing that anxiety is virtuous, which leads us into all these dark corners, like drinking and drug use and all these crazy bad things people do to each other. Because at the first instance, doing a bad thing to someone else, you don't have empathy for that person. You don't know that they have consciousness, and the act of badness is to harm their consciousness state, making it smaller. And so this is the thing there that causes all these problems. And that they think anxiety is virtuous, right? The establishment and religion, they have totally misunderstood what they call mental health. Totally misunderstood so much of it, because I think most problems that people get into as adults actually happens at the culture shock event of birth, with the shock of anxiety, the impact it has over the long term, starting at that uniform start point. It just, you know, by the time it gets out to adulthood, it's huge. The difference is massive. And so, but
I'm going to throw a spanner there. You know, there's this little girl, like, I looked into reincarnation and death, and in China, like in other parts of the world, you're allowed to believe in it and they encourage it. So there's a lot of really good recorded cases of kids having past life memories. The only problem is that this little girl that I looked at, she had the memories of somebody that didn't die until 6 months after she was born.
what?
That's a kink in the... Yeah, so as soon as you think you've got the pattern worked out, there's somebody that does the complete opposite and just throws...
Something wrong with the matrix there, obviously.
So that's like going back to how do we really have our own souls, or are we just given a chunk of consciousness to go out? I don't...
See, that might be a great success of consciousness to achieve that. But to child has someone who died. See, well, we don't understand consciousness.
Well, yeah, is it not the machine, not the consciousness? That because somebody's died horrifically, they've demanded to come back, or they don't. They have. I don't know. Haven't let go. There's more going on.
Sound's gone. Trouble.
Oh.
She's back now, but what it is I'm really sorry, Trouble. There's just this noise which goes on. It's fine when you talk, but when you don't talk, is it okay if you just mute yourself when you're not talking? Because it just, for some reason, it knocked James out.
Ugh.
Say what you want to say again, Trouble, and then James can answer it. Trouble!
I can't remember what I was saying. I'll just mute myself for a sec.
Sorry, darling. It just, for some reason, through your microphone, probably because it's that thing, it just comes through and then it blocks out the people. When you're not talking, it blocks them out. Right, go on then, James. Sorry, Trouble.
That's a remarkable thing, because, like, objectively, we don't know what consciousness, while ignorance prevails, and I know we're discussing it, and this is a great thing, this is an amazing thing, but we don't really know the actual pattern of the expression as it gets stronger. We don't know, and it's nothing to fear. It's nothing to fear. The only thing that would make people fearful of consciousness is if they valued anxiety. And so this is the natural development of our experience and our species, the human being, and it is on the path to where we should be. And under these circumstances, consciousness might need to actually amp up its efforts because the world's been ignorant of it for so long. So these moments do come along where the child has memories of someone who hasn't died, which is, that's amazing, man, really. But entirely plausible, actually, according to consciousness.
Can I interrupt?
Because we're only the vehicles, right? I mean, it's been said so many times. That movie, What Dreams May Come, the angel guy told him that, you're not actually a person, you're actually a spirit having a human experience. And it's
we're just a vessel, aren't we? Basically,
yeah,
that's what we are. Vessels, as everyone else says, we're vessels at sea,
Yeah. I mean, that's the lie of religion, right? Because they think that we're this broken, thing that needs help all the time. And it's like, nah, we actually are the perfect vehicles of consciousness. And that makes us the supreme being. And I've got every confidence in the statement that we are actually the most advanced life in the universe because of that. Now, that's really, that holds a lot of water to me. And so that's this diabolical situation, that this really obvious common fact, facet of the human experience seemingly doesn't, to all intents and purposes, doesn't exist. They're completely ignorant of it and they can't figure out any social problems. And I mean, to go back to what Trouble was saying, I think the reason that young people do drugs, they want to step off the crazy train to have some quality time with consciousness. That's what it is. And while they don't believe in consciousness exists, they think that mental health issues and it's depression. Really, consciousness is real. That's the key thing. That's the big news. It's ridiculous to say that. It's the big news that has been all the time. Yes.
James, maybe because it cut out a bit. What Trouble was saying was the little girl had memories of someone who died 6 months after she was born.
Yeah. That's amazing, eh?
That's a glitch in the matrix, I say.
That's a freaky thing, man. It's like, my reaction to that is that, anxiety's been in charge of the human perspective so long that consciousness has got to up its game. and in keeping with its way it does things. And so these are the kinds of things that might materialize. The child has memories from someone who hasn't died yet. That's amazing, because I think I've had past lives. I'm pretty sure of it, really. There's too many strange. I gravitate to certain things really heavily, and these things actually aren't in my experience that I've experienced in this life. They're different things, and so that's the question mark. Yeah, I think I've been here before, and I don't know who that was, but yeah, consciousness is real, man.
And sometimes you have that when you walk in a certain place, area, it's almost like you already recognize it. You think, oh, I recognize this. This feels like you have been there before. Or it also feels like, that this is something from your childhood almost, or a remembrance from your childhood, and you feel attached to a certain area that you. When I moved to Germany, for instance, when I lived here, I didn't have one day that I thought I want to go back to the big city. Not one day. Where I live now, I feel completely at home. I never felt as at home as now, at this moment.
Right.
And that helps also with your awareness, because you feel at home in a certain area where you live.
Yeah.
And I had a journey to find actually the location where I felt the most at home. And it went very fast. Actually, in a couple of days, I already knew I felt I was at home, and in the right direction, in the right place, with the right surroundings. Everything fitted together. I have nice neighbors, nice people. I'm in sync with my surroundings, and after that, all other great things happened. Just like a ball that would start rolling in the right direction, because I was in a place that I had already the feeling that I've been here before. This feels right. It has the right frequency. So sometimes you have a journey in your life, or I had a journey in my life. That you get to a point that you feel in harmony with everything around you. It's a great feeling when you have that.
Yeah, I think the experience of the deja vu, which I've had a whole bunch of, this is total evidence of consciousness, man.
Yeah.
But this past life thing for me, when I was like 10 years old, this was before the internet ever came along. It's virtually only just after TV. Well, TV, was TV back then, in the 1970s, right? In New Zealand, right? And I made a wooden copy of an AK-47, right? It was wooden, and it just looked like that, And I just, and then because we really used to live next to this bush, and just go hunting around in there with this. It was a military thing that I had made out of just intuition, and also racing cars. No one ever told me about racing cars and things as a kid, because my parents were really depressed and they never talked, and so they didn't engage with people that talked. And so, but how I came to these conclusions about things, I'm sure I actually were a soldier in the Vietnam War, I think, because I was born in 1968, and I believe that I was a soldier in the Vietnam War. And the moment I died, I came into this body, and because I had these really heavy inclinations towards the Vietnam War, and then I had one of those dreams, man, where it seems like you're actually really doing it, right? and I was walking up this riverbed, and I see in front of me a burnt out helicopter. And so this it's, the consciousness thing is it's mainly what's on my mind most of the time. And I think that's the case of everyone, but they don't realize it. They're too busy thinking about what they're thinking about, and they don't realize that this process going on, we have this process going on, and we conceptualize the process according to the language we use. That is only allowing a very small expression of that consciousness. And this is where we get our means to express ourselves, right? And so that's what I think's going on with consciousness, man. It's like, yeah. Does anyone else have dreams? Like,
No, never.
Never?
Well, barely,
Really?
hardly ever. I think I've had 3 dreams in my whole life.
Wow.
Well,
That's less.
That's why I'm called Astral, because I can like lucid dream. That's not a problem. I mean, I can see HD. I can close my eyes and I can see the clearest colours imaginable, right? And they're there. I can do that just like that, more or less. But dream, it's so hard for me to dream.
man,
That I
I've
can
had some-
remember anyway,
I remember most of my dreams very detailed. And
Yeah.
a lot of my
Can
dreams.
I just say something? Trouble's just trying to say something. Just let her say what
Okay,
she wants
sorry.
to say.
Okay.
No, that's okay. She now can't get in.
What if consciousness isn't an entity, so to speak? What if it's just the memory of every entity that ever lived on this place? Every thought, every feeling, every experience they had. It's just a big chunk of memories. It doesn't know it's alive. It doesn't know it's dead. It's just a heap of memories.
Yeah, we're just like bits, aren't we, in a computer program, in a sense. We're all bits, and all this information and consciousness is like a bit of, information, because we feel it inside, inwardly, but we also feel it externally, and we could be in a group, and you can have like group consciousness where, or you feel there might be some sort of threat, or there might be a good feeling, but you feel it collectively as a group. So, I mean, yeah, what are we talking about here? Because it's everything. And also, like, you can smell something and it'll take you right back to your childhood, maybe, and that smell, you've only smelt it once before, and it was maybe when you were 4-year-old or something, very strange. Sorry.
No, it's our
Sorry? Sorry, carry on then. Trouble, do you want to add then, or James gonna?
Yeah, no, that was all I wanted to throw in. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd say something about that. No, you see, while we can't articulate consciousness because of this language we use, and we can't, it's like we're not cognizant of consciousness because of how reality's been conceptualized, right? Because we want to express ourselves in a way that people can understand, and so this kind of secretly conceptualizes what we want to say. Big corruption going on there, man. But it appears like you might think that consciousness has all this memory and it's all like, but that's actually what it feels like. Consciousness is incredibly relaxed, and it has answers for whatever. It has answers for everything, and that's its disposition, that's its character. And so it might seem like it's got like millions of memories, and it probably has, but it's only concerned with now and going forward from now. And that's a factor of the old consciousness, man, that it only exists right now. So when someone gets really traumatized as a young person, they literally carry that event with them. And so that's why some people get angry really, really easily, because consciousness is bringing that damaged aspect with it all the time. And so there is different types of experiences in the relationship with consciousness, and so this impression, though, it's like it is to me, it's the engine of the universe, and that's what it feels like plugging into it. It's the engine of the universe, and so I don't need to know everything. I only need to know wisdom, and wisdom is the thing of it, and it's a profound experience I'm having. That I'm this vehicle of consciousness, man. It's like, as you all are, as everyone is. And,
Yeah,
and
can I say something, right? About this is another take. Don't take everything I say as like, this is just what I feel. I can walk down the street and I observe absolutely everything I can see, everything my eyes fall upon. I observe and I analyze, I check them out. That person's smiling, blue eyes, green eyes, red lipstick, black shoes, whatever. I'm looking at the cars. I'm thinking also other thoughts, like heavy shopping, or Jesus, that biker almost got knocked over then. We're thinking all the time. We're always thinking, aren't we? I mean, even when we're sleeping, we're probably thinking, although I'm not really one to remember my dreams, but I'm aware, mentally aware,
That's
and
conscious.
I think, well, yeah, exactly that. But that's my own take on it. I mean, don't take my word for it. I mean, you all need to find your own little words for it. But I'm aware when I walk down the street of who I am, what I'm doing, my breathing. I'm aware of my breathing. I'm even feeling the blood pumping through my body as I'm walking or running or whatever, Consciousness. I mean, the deep breaths you take, that's our life. The first breath we took, we've been breathing ever since. Well, I did die once, as you all know, but since then, we're continually breathing. Are we aware of our breaths? I bet most people aren't, but I am. When I breathe, I'm aware I'm breathing. I'm aware I'm sat here, and I'm aware that I'm talking to all y'all, wherever y'all are, around the plane, across the plane, I should say. Sorry, I'm done.
Yeah, I was also just going to add that also, oh my God, it's gone out of my brain now. Just what I was going to say, it's gone out of my mouth. Oh yeah, this bit about the whole point about it's bad behind us, it's bad in front of us. This whole thing, I thought that this whole flat earth thing was about because we weren't here and now, and we are here and now things. Everything is here and now. It's virtual, but everything around us is making sure we can't be here and now.
But that's actually all we've got, Karen. There is only now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they've made sure with all the programming that we're not here and now. We're in the future fearful of that, in the past fearful of that. We can't even get on now because, like you said, a lot of relationships are built on this I'm better than you, or this sort of, what do you call it? It's I can't think of the word now. Someone's always vibing to be better. I'm better than you. You're better. I'm not. I know I'm better than you. It's no wrong vibes.
Yeah, beat your neighbour.
Yeah, I don't live in the now very much. I like going into the past and the future. I think it's all one. I don't see them as separate.
No, well, I'm sorry.
Now, there has to be the past.
Can I just interrupt you? I was going to say also, I don't quite agree with that. We only have now because we have our recollections of the past, haven't we?
No, I don't mean that. I mean, we're living in the now. We have memories in that, but we're in the now.
Yeah, exactly.
But because of the memories, most of them people haven't sorted out and don't know who they are and all the rest of it. They're living lost in the past, not bringing it with you as part of you and moving on. If you, the way I see it, if you can't talk about yourself and you don't know yourself, do you see what I mean? Like a lot of people will say, oh, look, you're talking about things you shouldn't do because you've got to be now. But you're only free in yourself when you can talk about yourself and your past. That doesn't mean you have to live in it. You just remember it. You know what you've taken from it, what you've learned from it. And you're always, like you say, there's a part of you that is living in the future and in the past, but you're now. We only actually have now.
I could say that's a great observation, Karen, because as an attack, the phone.
No, don't break up now. He does that every now and again. He just fades out. So I have to wait for him to come.
The obsession of the past.
James, we didn't hear any of that.
Okay, hold on. I'll try now with the camera off. This obsession with the past is absolutely an attack on consciousness, because it takes people's focus away from now. Now, this is also completely ignoring people's feelings, because feelings only exist now. Our experience is only now. And so this business of I think the thing of the future is that's aspirational. That's that's what you wish for, that's your hopes and dreams, which are all healthy. But this obsession with the past, this is another massive criminal thing religion does to consciousness, right? It roots the perception of now thousands of years ago, right? And this is a massive corruptive thing in the perception of how we should go forwards. And it also corrupts our perception of relationships, because if it mitigates the value of our feelings, it also completely mitigates the value of relationships. And so that's a massively excellent observation you just made, Karen. That's a great thing. Did that come through all right?
Yeah, it did. I just can't go so slow to get my mic off. I made a video about it. I've made a video about it.
That's a great point. That is the whole ball game right there. Right.
Yudit had a question.
Yeah, Yudit.
Yeah, James, I have a question to you. And I see lately a few videos that the people who's got the money, the power, they manipulate a spiritual being.
Yeah.
And if we speak about consciousness, so there is a consciousness being who live here, and they don't belong to here. And the people who's got the power, they manipulate this being, and this being manipulate these people. And and I ask you if you know about this.
Yes, I do know about this. No, it's actually, see, the way that the world's conceptualized reality is that anxiety is virtuous. So what they're doing is they're replicating anxiety, because we acknowledge anxiety, right? Because of the event in the mind. And so they will subvert spirituality. And you say spirituality, but actually you're talking about consciousness. Because it's to me, it's highly immoral to conceptualize consciousness as a singular thing in any instance, like saying it's God. This is not what you do actually at all, ever. It's massively bad. And so they do that. See, out of the belief that anxiety is virtuous, this is why the money is so important to them, and they need to have control. And it's actually turned into a sport. And so if I could actually talk about this big Freudian slip in society that is the news, right? Which is the criminal, political, financial, sports news. Okay, this is in New Zealand, right? That's the order of the subjects every night. The criminal, political, financial, sports news. Criminal, political, financial, sports news. Criminal, political, financial, sports news. Maybe it's because they're criminal, political, financial sportsmen. And this is a Freudian slip, because that's actually their worldview. That is, this is a big playing field for a massive competition, because they believe that anxiety is virtuous. They believe anxiety is virtuous, so this is something that makes them happy. This is a joyous thing for them to have this big sports competition on the world, which is why several political entities are compelled to rule the world, like religion does, like banking system does, political system does. And so that's the thing of it. It's formatted that anxiety is wisdom. And so this is why it's imperative to destabilize. This is the seventh law of anxiety, as I've written it. One must always seek to undermine and maintain ongoing disruption for anyone who seeks to challenge the laws of anxiety. Right?
James,
Yep.
Sorry, can I interrupt you?
Yep.
Where'd you get all this about anxiety from?
I have deduced it through my relationship to consciousness.
Because anxiety, right, in my opinion, is just another word for fear. You're scared. But we need you need to have some fear so you know where to go. You need to have, and it's again, this balance. You've got anxiety on one end and then whatever the opposite of anxiety is, hey, I'm happy. Do you understand what I mean? It's necessary to have the good with the bad, the yin with the yang, the black with the white, the high with the low. It's part and parcel of the process of our lives. That's what I believe. We have to have good and bad always. Otherwise, we will not exist.
No, I have some news. Here's the thing, right? What I discovered is this, and the senior element that led to this discovery is that while the media and the Bible keep promoting problems, going on and on about problems is promoting anxiety as wisdom, all of the problems that they both talk about incessantly have their genesis in an anxiety. That is a pattern of circular logic, and it is how, according the world has understood reality. And so it came to me because anxiety compels people to conceal their anxieties, and it compels people to allow others to conceal their anxiety.
Damn. Every few minutes. He's still there.
Yep.
James, it just lagged out a little bit. Just repeat the last little bit.
Okay, well, the first two laws, wanting to conceal your anxieties and being compelled to allow others to conceal their anxieties. The fourth law is you must accept without question the dishonesty caused by the first three laws. Right? Now, this is all in my video, Theory of Relativity 2.0. Okay, Theory of Relativity 2.0. And so it comes to me that this is actually the super science fiction-y thing ever, that the sentient being that is consciousness has been hijacked by anxieties by virtue of the fact that there's the culture shock experience of birth that brings anxiety into existence. And that's why everyone is on the same page. Everyone is on the same page. That's why everyone accepts that religion is credible, when actually religion has been seen by me has been exclusively derived from the senior elements of the political correctness of anxiety. Okay, and that is the chief reason why consciousness seemingly doesn't exist, and the belief that anxiety is virtuous is what gives people credibility, right? Political credibility. And this is why the elites do what they do, because it's because of what we do. It's because courage acknowledges anxiety. Okay, and so it's actually the way we function as a silent majority. How we function completely governs how the elites manipulate us, right? Because they want to remain secret. Because the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th laws are about the political correctness of anxiety, and the main feature is to conceal the function of anxiety. And this is about the event in the mind. And so they replicate the function of anxiety, and they do everything they need to do to conceal the function of what the elites do, these secret societies and la-da. But I tell you, it's all because of the behavior of the silent majority. That's entirely why they choose that strategy, right? And the thing is, we believe in courage, we believe in consciousness, and that's why the whole middle class of the world, everyone, we just create wealth by physical activity, because consciousness loves doing stuff. And so we just create wealth all the time. And so that's the situation with the earth. And I think that anxiety, right, believed of as wisdom and virtuous, this is the whole problem of everything, because nobody can figure out domestic violence, nobody can figure out conflict, nobody can figure out depression, no one can figure out anxiety, no one can figure out gun violence, no one can figure out drug use, no one can figure out all sorts of things, because all these things have been caused by the belief that anxiety is virtuous. And if they think that anxiety is virtuous, it's not a problem. And so that's what I'm talking about there. And so the video Theory of Relativity 2.0 is the primary video. And there's about 35 other ones I've made about that on YouTube there. And so when we stop this belief that anxiety is virtuous, everything changes. For people who have insomnia, right, they stay up way after they are notified by their bodies that they are tired. And that means that the body makes adrenaline to keep them awake. Okay, and so you got this instance this realization I've come to, which is, if that anxiety exists at the quantum level of thought, maybe that secretly triggers the nervous system into being active when we are inactive. Okay, and there goes all of the whole culture of the human being, where they like to drink alcohol. This is why we smoke cigarettes. This is why coffee works. La-dee-da-dee-da. And so then the body makes all these chemicals to suit the fact that the nervous system is active, like adrenaline, and then there's all these other chemicals it makes because the adrenaline's been in the system so long. And so that's a rabbit hole I haven't really looked into very much, but I think it's entirely plausible that anxiety's political presence in the mind at the quantum level of thought is secretly triggering the nervous system into being active. And so you get these people in these geopolitical circles, they're negotiating these things with other countries, and their nervous systems are really active, but they seemingly are really relaxed. And so this is the thing of the belief that anxiety is virtuous, is actually the only thing wrong with us. Because
only thought. That's all it is.
Huh?
It's only a thought. That's all it is. You can just take it away. It's a thought, man.
If you are aware of the alternative, yep. And so this is this great message. And that's a giant amnesty. It's the grand amnesty. Because the only way to stop things going on is to bring all of these people acting outside the community back into the community. There's only a way the only way that will work if they are welcomed back into the community. And I believe that this message from the universe that is an amnesty, this is what is needed. And I mean, it's disgusting how these young people grow up in this world when they value consciousness so much. They have to tell lies all the time. It's the first thing a kid learns when they start to talk. You must lie mostly all the time to get along with these people. And so it's no surprise that young people turn to going to get drinking and they start wandering the streets, and because they need relationship. They need relationship. Anxiety kills relationships, man. And so that's the thing. My perspective is based. It's on top of that great data pile I've got there that I've realised. And it's a realisation that anxiety is a point to T. It's culture shocked into existence by the earth. And it is comprised of 8 laws, and those 8 laws have multiple overlapping anti-tamper measures that stop people focusing on what the anxiety's doing. So running away from truth, of course they think that the past is super duper important as a mechanism to stop us talking about now. And so there you go, that's the thing of it. And see, all this whole pattern of behaviour of the human species is actually all about courage versus anxiety. That's it. And it's the nature of anxiety. It is the event in the mind, and then people instinctively intuit that that's what they need to do to control people. They ambush them with anxiety, and then here's the thing: someone ambushes you with anxiety, right? And what happens is when that noise gets inside your ears and it is in your brain, it simulates an anxiety attack. Okay? And you acquiesce to it because it's simulating an anxiety attack. And that's how people get control. And so being objective about anxiety means that stops. That's what I think.
James?
Yeah?
I wonder if when people are anxious, what kind of brain patterns they have, or what kind of, I'm thinking that, when you're in an accident, you release adrenaline, don't you? And I'm thinking if you're anxious, if something is released, some, kind of drug or whatever it is that's inside us, if something's released, a chemical within us to counter it, to calm us or to excite us more or whatever, make us stronger, or I don't know. Do you know anything about that?
Yes. I know that the US Psychiatric Association will not use brain scans to assess the condition of the mind. When brain scans actually give you've got brain development or brain damage that has been from a trauma where they've had a knock, like sports people, it completely changes the electrical pattern of the brain, right? And you should look that up, like brain scans, you just probably just Google brain scans and it will give you this thing where psychology now absolutely don't value the CGI from the MRI machine, right? And so this thing of this business of this is why it totally affects relationships, man, anxiety. And it's because it's this overarching it's a nexus, it's a matrix of laws that and you know what? All at the center of this is actually the character of consciousness. Because anxiety wouldn't exist if consciousness doesn't exist. And anxiety wouldn't be able to do what it does except for the character of consciousness. Okay? So we can the qualification.
If consciousness didn't exist, what would we be? We wouldn't be anything then, would we?
We wouldn't.
Hang on, I need a cup of tea.
We wouldn't have life. And that's it. That's the truth of the people, man. There is only consciousness or hijacked consciousness, and the instance of the character of consciousness is that it acknowledges anxiety as wise, keeping it safe, but when it's in a political, when the anxiety has been promoted for political reasons, and courage acknowledges anxiety. So this is actually the linchpin of the political sphere, of any political sphere, that courage acknowledges anxiety and anxiety does not acknowledge courage, is the linchpin of all the political spheres, because it's about decisions come from thought. So this all plays out in the mind, the event in the mind, in the individual mind, but it's replicated in the group setting. It replicates the event in the mind exactly, where people who have anxieties about something, they always get political credibility. Have you noticed that? That anxiety seems to get center stage in any discussion when it comes to the political, comes to the political sphere, or when people in power have to answer to the silent majority. Okay, the anxiety always gets, and this stops people understanding where you've got to take a kind of a holistic view of the situation to put measures in place to solve the problem. And so that's why they're so stuck with finding answers for things. And they encroach on society, like the British NHS is a good example of that. They create the conditionality to actually then put it in question. Oh, we should sell the NHS, it's too hard to run, it costs too much, it's freaking, nah. This is anxiety trying to be the dominant feature, okay? And so this is how actually life has been playing out on planet Earth. And another instance is that people actively promote the conditionality so they can actually come in and save the day while promoting anxiety as virtuous, right? And so this is what anxiety does. It tells you lies in the mind to make it sure, it tells all this crazy fucking story, and to only have political control over your mind. And this is being replicated over the whole of society, and that is the whole purpose of religion. That's all religion has wanted ever, is to replicate the function of anxiety as it events in the mind to achieve the same result. And that's why they have this delusion they have to rule the world, because they're replicating the function of anxiety. Now that looks like it's news to you, and but this is the discovery that's going to probably save the world, because if they keep replicating the function of anxiety on top of the situation we're in now to get political credibility, they are going to destroy this world, man, because that's the only logical outcome of it, and it is also the optimum outcome of the political correctness of anxiety, is to just destroy everyone, because that's politically correct to anxiety. This thing is absolutely what has conceptualized Satan and demons and all this sort of stuff. And so that's the truth of that, man. It's a shocking thing, maybe if you've just heard it for the first time, but the freaky, amazingest thing is that while this might be the giant revelation, this is actually the only thing the world has ever known. This is the only thing the world has ever known. It's it is pure anxiety. There is no outside when you're focused on anxiety. You're only tunnel.
What about people that meditate? What about people that meditate? Surely they don't feel anxiety because they're
I know
bliss.
Yep, you're right.
So maybe we should just meditate more often.
Yeah, but those guys. See, I will concede that a great many people, this is actually not what they do. Most of the world, the 99%, are in the silent majority. We value philosophy. It's because of philosophy why we love community, right? But it's about these people that are dictating the path of civilization. Stop. You know what? If it wasn't for religion, we would have had computers about 500 years ago. We would have been living on Mars for 200 years if the Catholic Church hadn't done what it did.
Hey, we can't get to Mars. Repeat what you just said. We cannot go to Mars. Come on, James.
Figuratively speaking, we would be massively advanced from where we are if the belief that anxiety is virtuous wasn't the dominant political ideology. And this goes down to the event in the mind, and that courage acknowledges anxiety. And so it's entirely an observation. Okay, it's entirely an observation. That's all I can say. It's entirely an observation. And
I just say, Trouble wants to say something. What do you want to say, Trouble?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, we're making all these observations on the past, but the past is a lie. Like this, we would have had computers by now. We've had them since day dawn. So, I just get a bit lost because we're comparing now to the past, but the past is not true. It's 1,000 years missing in history. Wars probably didn't happen the way we're told. So,
well, yeah. Now, my point is that the intellectual development of and science has been completely inhibited for so long. That's the point I was making. Virtually, while the Catholic Church did its thing for 500 years, science virtually stopped. Okay? And as a being of consciousness, as are all of my fellow humans, we have a very strong culture of science and medicine. And so all those people they used to call witches, they were able to make medicines from herbs and things. They actually virtually only made recipes. They developed, they had beliefs that could actually mitigate anxieties or whatever. And if they distinguished themselves outside the static cognition of religion, they were deemed a witch. Okay, and so none of that would have happened, and so that knowledge would have been expanded. That common knowledge would have been expanded. Now we would have been, whatever we're doing now, we
That's
would
if
have been.
you're going to believe all the history, though, James. Because what
Yeah, I know.
saying was that a lot of it may not be true.
Yeah, but the Catholic Inquisitions was kind of true. And as I know, I'm a very big believer of what you say. Actually, what they say to us as history is that this has got the biggest question marks ever on top of it, because they want to control, right? So there's probably like the allowable communication within the first two laws. There's probably only 10% of the knowledge of the ancient world that we've been told, and that's at a bare minimum, man. They've probably left mostly everything out. Like the business of ancient India, and who knows? But I know that history is way longer than 6,000 years, and yeah, there's just a very long heritage we have. It's heritage.
Well, we'd like to know who built the ancient structures. The civilization, I mean, they were far more advanced than we were.
Have you heard?
Far more advanced. And there's also evidence that if you look at certain places, and then most of the time it's not acknowledged by a lot of historians, but if you take a closer look and look for yourself, you will find out that a lot of parts of ancient structures are built, or ancient structures or even churches, old churches are built on foundations of older structures, made with far more advanced technology as the later civilizations who built on that site, around that site. And that's also already evidence. But yeah, for some reason they don't want to acknowledge that because it tells a different way of history.
Can I put something on the time thing? I'm finding out a lot of the Aboriginal art in Australia gets repainted every so often. That's their secret women's business and stuff, is keeping this artwork alive. Yet we've got science going and testing it and telling us it's millions of years old, but we've got the people that actually do it saying, no, we go and paint that every so often and keep it fresh. So I'm wondering, how old are these ancient structures and things? Are they really ancient? Or do we just stack them and pack ancient buildings, ancient sites or something?
Well, if you look at some ancient buildings, you can actually see that 5 or 4 civilizations built on the same site. Take a closer look at Machu Picchu, you can see that 4 different civilizations built on that site, and actually every time the next civilization came there and tried to repair it, indeed, and try to build around it and add to it, or mimic something that was already on the site in the same fashion, only with less building technology, less capability of lifting bigger stones and putting them so tight together you can't even put a credit card between them. So you can see that there is actually the knowledge to build with advanced technology is actually slowly getting lost on certain ancient sites. You can see that the oldest is the most advanced, and the newest things that are built there, sometimes by for instance, on Machu Picchu by the Inca civilization, who built the last civilization who built on that site, and you can clearly see there are 4 civilizations predating their civilization. But therefore, you know that there was a big gap between certain civilizations, because you can see degrees in knowledge of building certain structures in a very advanced way. So therefore, you can see that you can't calculate the time spent exactly, but there at least be a couple of maybe 100 years in between, because there's a big sliding scale downwards in the technology, but a little bit big sliding scale, and that doesn't happen overnight, of course.
Can I just add to what Troublebat was saying?
Yeah.
I was in Egypt. I thought that too, because I think it was the Karnak temples where the colors were just so bright. I mean, it was like they were painted yesterday kind of thing, you know, blue and red, and yeah, it was just. When you said that, I was thinking straight away. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they do things, don't they, to keep. Keep us guessing.
You can see that sometimes they repair it or need, like she mentioned, it makes sense that they paint over it, or sometimes you can see even in constructions that the hieroglyphs were added later because they were not as advancedly, let's say, chiseled in, put in the writing as the rest of the structure. The writing is very poorly, but the construction is amazing. And if they had that skill to build that grand of construction, why are some hieroglyphs so poorly done? It doesn't fit. And with a different technology, you can take a very close look. You can see it's not that sharp, not that advanced cut in. So often you can see indeed that the structure is older as the writing that's actually on the structure.
Has anyone heard of Thoth?
Yeah.
Thoth, man.
Hermes Trismegistus, the guy who built the pyramids, the guy who built, many different things, apparently.
He figured out how to retain his memories into his next life, he says.
Yeah, he died where he wanted to be born again. Smart man.
I think that's a very, I'm very engaged by that story.
There's a lot of information about that on the internet, a lot. I've been digging into a bit of that as well. The Bland
what if Thoth, to me, everything goes back to Thoth, when he brought us all this corruption that we have today. I don't think Thoth is a good guy.
No?
You don't?
No.
Carry on, let's hear.
Well, he brought us, didn't he bring us language and medicine and all this stuff that we have, everything we have today can be traced back to Thoth. And look what we have today. We have a shit world run by psychopathic.
Nah, come on. You have to be honest, man. Religion has come along, ratifying and legitimize anxiety as virtuous. That has been our language. So thought existed previous to organized religion. That's what I'll just say that. Because you're right, we are corrupted. We are corrupted, yes.
But Thoth is the first thought. I mean, because that's what they're talking about. It's just a thought, and he brought all the 10, all the rules. I think he's the first corrupted being, honestly.
Well, when you say Thoth, it is like thought, isn't it? You know.
Well, yeah, it's thought. That's what.
So maybe Thoth is just thought. It's just thought. Who knows?
And it was by the ruling elite, and they wrote down their rules and how we should all live and we should farm. He's brought in farming. That alone should tell you that he's not the creator. But half the stuff he brought in is the corrupt stuff that we have today. So, and I think the corrupt came from the word go, and he would be the word go.
There's lots of people who have been involved. But about construction of these ancient sites, I think his contribution had a lot to do with maybe. See, now that I've heard word that they're suspicious that the pyramids are actually like 30,000 years old, and so there's lots of words going on out there. Eh?
What if the pyramids are really young instead of old?
Yeah.
I mean, they can create whatever they want. They can put out weather-worn ancient sites. I'm hearing that the Sphinx is just a tiny little statue on top of a giant building that's underneath it.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
So I don't think we know. I don't think we know enough to.
I think we've had a world reset a few times. I really do. I think the world has been ruined, and we've lost all the.
You can actually see that on some sites that it's actually destroyed by a strong force, maybe cataclysm probably. You can see earth strikes often close to that site. You can see that there was a mudslide that covered a lot of things and then also destroyed it. So there was a strong force that destroyed a lot of ancient structures. There's also... that you can see that what I was thinking about. What did you say at the last bit, Trouble?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, now there's a lot of
that will reset.
Reset. Yeah, reset probably a couple of times. You can see that in ancient structures, that how advanced they built the structure is decreasing. Probably maybe by some resets, because you can also see that the later civilizations who came on the site tried to repair it as good as possible, and they still had some of the knowledge, because you can see sometimes they try to duplicate it. Oh yeah, that was the question. There's a lot of things deep under the ground. They put some. I hope that's actually true, but I think it's true. But because they did a lot of ground penetrating radar, and they can see that there are more chambers under the swings, and there are other ancient structures, even in Pumapunku, that they did ground penetrating radar. Brian Forrester and some of his people who help him out, you can see that under Pumapunku in Bolivia, on that ancient side, there's a lot of, most of it is still underground. They're excavating, but it's often a very slow process, because the people who do excavations often have to fund themselves, because they are hardly funded by the government, but they gladly give 40 million or billion to NASA. No problem with that. But actually, if you want to do research on the Earth itself, all kinds of problems, and most of them they have to fund themselves if they do research that is actually exposing new things, and therefore you can see new constructions and get a better view of an ancient site. And for some reason they try to stop that or slow it down as much as possible, because they are probably scared of what they find in the Earth that won't fit the whole narrative of our history.
No,
Yeah, I agree.
don't.
1 second. I have to turn you down, Trouble, because your background just takes over the hangout. It's all right. Speak now.
Well, it's hard to work out whether there was one disaster or lots of little disasters. It's hard to work out whether it was an accident or it was on purpose. And even things like the underground cities that they talk about,
Yeah.
I don't see them as cities. I see them as laboratories like we've got now, big military bunkers.
Could
I
be.
think if you end up in an underground city, you're probably a science experiment and you're in a lot of trouble. So I don't know, until some of the information gets deciphered correctly, it's hard to tell what is going on.
It's indeed very hard to tell, and I agree with the things that you say. You don't know how many times the reset what, or it was basically maybe it happened because of a war. Who knows? That certain ancient tribes were at war, and therefore it was destroyed. Maybe they had technology to do that, because they had so advanced technology to build those grand structures. Why couldn't they have other technology that was more advanced? Who knows? And they were at war because
Yeah, and where's it gone?
that's the trick question. Maybe it's in the ground still a lot of answers. Probably they are. Maybe they've taken things with them or hide them, or maybe in those underground caves they are still finding underground cities. Maybe in one of these cities they hid it. Maybe they hide in those underground cities because of the war that was happening on the earth, or the cataclysm that was happening on the earth. That they thought, ooh, we have all these strikes and lightning going on the earth and floods and everything. Well, let's hide underground and get out when it's over. That's a possibility.
That makes no sense to me, because
It's just
who's
like
got
me.
time to build these underground cities? I mean, you and I aren't building these underground cities that they're making today. The military's doing it. It's a very organised crew that are building these underground cities,
Yeah.
not just me going in with a pick and hammer and digging a cave. It's way
Yeah,
more.
but the reason that some of them may have been there was at times we had to live underground, maybe because of cataclysmic things, maybe
Yeah.
the weather changed. We just don't know anymore. But can I just say that we've been going for 2 3/4 hours now. I think we try and keep the hangouts to about 3 hours, because we've worked out that 6 7 hours is quite a long time to watch a hangout.
But I'm always open to the vision Trouble has. I'm always open to other visions. So maybe I'm wrong. That it indeed was something else, something military. It's indeed a possibility. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of time left, but maybe the people that are here, I don't know if Yudit's here or Patricia's here, but maybe you'd just like to say a few words, sort of going round what James has been talking about, what we've been talking about. I'll start with Trouble, because she's Trouble. Trouble.
Oh God, I don't know where to start. Yeah, I just think there's still a lot of options out there. I just try to do the opposite of whatever's being told to us. I try to look into that, because they're not going to tell us the truth. And I just find it hard to believe that any community, even us with our sophistication now, that we'd be able to build an underground city without a company, without a big company running the thing. So I just don't see groups of people going off and building massive things without a lot of technology. And even like the Bible, I mean, they had to have had computers. It's written in perfect quantum maths. So they had to have had computers around when the time that was. So I think they've had computers since day dawn. I don't think that's a new invention. But anyway, that's me. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I'm also.
Bless you. Bless you. So we listen, James, you can have the last word.
The last word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Astral, do you want to say anything? Astral? He's eating
He's
now.
eating. Well,
All right, you
it's-
go on then.
Well, I think it's a great hangout with a lot of great people who have different views, and I like different views because it makes me think about other stuff that I never thought about. That I think, ooh, that's also the way it could be or could happen. And like James talks about anxiety, it's a great way, and also consciousness. was mentioned, and I like everybody on the panel his views, and also the people in the chat have certain views that I read, and it's great to have this group together and have a nice discussion about all kinds of very interesting topics, for sure.
Oh, thank you, artist. Levkungfu, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
You got any thoughts for this evening?
Another thing that Joel said, what would it now about God gave us all these medicines and all these kind of things and stuff, but the medicines that we get today, they're not healing us, and it's by big pharmaceutical companies and stuff like that. But I think the opportunity to make medicines are here and stuff. And probably a lot of solutions are there which aren't out to the public and stuff like that. But yeah, I love all the research that everybody's put in, everybody's suggestions and ideas about consciousness and stuff. It's really good.
Oh, thank you, Lev. Astral.
Yeah.
Your turn now.
Interesting, James. You give a lot of food for thought there about this anxiety thing. You've really got me. I'm anxious now. But it is like you say, Artes. It's great to listen to all your. Where do I get that from? I've said it 3 times today, I think. It's nice to hear different thoughts, different opinions, different constructions and what have you. Yeah, it's good. You learn. We're still learning. We're all learning. Someone just wrote there, "What's the meaning of life?" And I wrote, to get out from being a slave. Yeah. What's the meaning of life? Who knows? Hopefully we'll find out one day what it was all about. So, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Astral. Thank you. Is Patricia or Yudit there? Patricia, Yudit.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yudit.
It was wonderful conversation, and yes, thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Yudit.
Cool.
Thank you.
Oh, bless you. James.
Yeah. Yeah. Bless you, Karen. Yeah, I'd say that what has happened there is it's making this invisible thing visible. Okay, it's made not only anxiety visible to consciousness, but it actually makes consciousness visible because we've only known the alive anxiety, right? So, and as per Trouble, yes, there's been some high-level mathematics in play, all right, but when you consider the character of consciousness is to do these quantum, physics level mathematical equations as a normal practice, which actually people do all the time, actually, without realizing it. What they've had to control us is the instinctively intuited optimum outcome of the political correctness of anxiety regarding the 8 laws of anxiety and the myriad multiple combinations of the 8 laws of anxiety and the implications of those configurations. Okay, that is the supercomputer that religion has used. Okay, and that's actually, anxiety is capable of that because it's hijacked the character of consciousness, man. And so I'm really stoked, to be able to say this, and this is just the most marvelous thing at this time. I think the world needs an exit strategy because too many establishment, they don't have answers, and it's actually gravitating to a worse state all the time. And so we need an exit strategy from this way of doing things. And even those people in the high rarefied air, they would agree they don't have an answer to do things any differently than they're doing. And but I know this. I'm going to go out now after this, and I'm going to feel marvelous that we've had this chat. That's what I'll say.
And it's in the consciousness. It's put out in the consciousness.
It's down in there now, man. All the universe was listening to us just now.
Thank you, James.
I reckon that's true. I reckon that is absolutely true.
It's
And
out
so,
in the ether now.
Yeah, and so to materialize a rally point that everyone can come to, I think the future of the Sun and Moon group is going to just get humongous one day. This is what's coming. I think.
Oh, well, we're a people's group, aren't we? We're trying to bring as much of the community together here and do this together because it's the only way forward.
Yeah.
But James, on that note,
we're all in it together, working it out together, and I think that is our group consciousness.
Yeah.
I'd like to say one more thing, please. From all this conversation, I take one thing that Astral said. It's, I am aware to my breath. And this is the most important. Be aware to your breath. Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
Yes, Astral. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, I know that Jay's not here, but what are we? We're dancers.
Yes, yeah.
We are dancers. Anyway, thank you to everybody on the panel. That's Artist, Jane, Levkungfu, Patricia, Astral, Trouble About, Yudit. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. And
thank you
for
Karen.
watching this. And thank you. And we are back tomorrow night with Mr. Thrive and Survive. So see you all tomorrow. Big hugs to everybody. Mwah! To the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody on the panel and everybody in the chats.
Yeah, I say thank you to everyone on the panel and everyone in the chat as well. Love you all.
Who seconds thirds it?
Love you all.
Thank you,
and
panel.
We'll meet again.
Till we meet again tomorrow. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Big hugs. Big flat earth hugs.
All right.